Hi guys, myself Koustav Ghosh, and today I am going to discuss Amazon Redshift, which is one of the data warehouse services on the AWS. So today, these seven topics we will mainly cover. So the first of all, now what is AWS? Why Amazon Redshift? Then what is Amazon Redshift? Then advantages of Amazon Redshift, architecture of Amazon Redshift, some additional concepts in Amazon Redshift, then demo basically how to create a cluster. So now what is AWS? As we know that AWS stands for the Amazon Web Service. So it's one of the largest cloud providers in the market, and it's basically a secure cloud service platform provided from the Amazon. Secondly, on the AWS, you can create and deploy the application using the AWS service. And along with that, you can access the services provided by the AWS over the public network, that is over the internet. They are accessible. And fourthly, you pay only whatever the service you use for. So this four concepts is meant to AWS. So next, why Amazon Redshift? So before Amazon Redshift, people, mainly the developers, used to fetch or extract the data from the data warehouse. And data warehouse represents the collection of the data or a repository where the data is stored, generally called as a data warehouse. So now fetching the data from the data warehouse was a tricky task or some mm, problematic task because there might be possibility that the developer is located at different geography or locality and data warehouse at a different location. So probably there is not that much network connectivity or some network or internet or some security challenges might be there, and some lot of maintenance was required to manage the data warehouses. So mainly Amazon Redshift came. So now I am discussing some cons of traditional data warehouse service. So first of all, it was time consuming to download or get the data from the data warehouse. Secondly, some maintenance issue, like maintenance cost was too high. Thirdly, there was a possibility of loss of information in between downloading of data. And fourthly, there are some data rigidity. It was an issue. So now this problem solved by Amazon Redshift, but how? That we need to know. So we need to know what is Amazon Redshift. So it is one of the services over the AWS Amazon Web Services, which is called as a data warehouse service. So basically, Amazon Redshift is a cloud-based service or a data warehouse service that is primarily used for collecting and storing the large scale of data. So it also helps to get or extract the data, analyze the data using some business intelligence tools. Uh, business intelligence tool you can use and get the data from the Redshift and process that, and hence it simplifies the process of handling the large scale data sets. So basically this is the symbol for the Amazon Redshift over the AWS. So next, let's discuss one of the use case. So DNA, this is basically a telecommunication company, and they were facing an issue with managing their website and also Amazon S3 data, which is mainly which led down to slow the process of their applications. So now, how could they overcome this problem? So let's say that so they overcome this problem or issue by using the Amazon Redshift, and all the company noticed that there was a 52% increase in the application performance. So now, one important things means there are some important facts, like Amazon Redshift is basically cost less to operate than any other cloud data warehouse service available on the cloud computing platforms. And also the performance of an Amazon Redshift is the fastest data warehouse. We can say that that is available as of now. So in both cases, one is that it saves the cost as compared to the traditional data warehouses, and also the performance of this Redshift service or some a data warehouse service is the fastest available on the cloud platforms, and more than 20,000 customers mainly use this Amazon Redshift services. So next, I am discussing some advantages of Redshift. So first of all, we saw that it is one of the fastest available data warehouse service. So it has high performance. Secondly, it is a low cost service. So you can have large scale data warehouse or databases combined in data warehouse at a very low cost. So whatever you use, you pay for that only. So this is cost effective or low cost. So next is scalability. Now, in case of you wanted to increase the nodes of the databases in your Redshifts, you can actually increase that based on your requirement, and that is on the fly. So you don't have to wait for the procurement of any kind of hardware or the infrastructure. So whenever you require, you can scale up or scale down the resources. So scalability is one of the advantage of the Amazon Redshift. So next is availability. Since it's available across multiple availability zones, so it makes this service as a highly available service. Next is security. So whenever you create or whenever you access the Redshift, you create a clusters in the Redshift, and the clusters are created in the in the way you can define a specific virtual private cloud or VPC for your cluster, and you can create your own security groups and attach it to your cluster. So you can design the security parameters based on your requirement, and you can get your data warehouse or the data items in a secured place. So next is flexibility. So you can remove the clusters, you can create under the clusters. If you are deleting a cluster, you can take a snapshot of it, and you can move those snapshots to different regions also. So that much flexibility is available and in the AWS for the service. And last but not the least, this is another advantage is that it is basically a very simple way to do a database migration. So if you are planning that or wanted to migrate your databases from the traditional data center over the cloud or on the Redshift, it is basically a very simple to do database migration, and you can basically have some of the inbuilt tools available on the AWS access. So you can connect them with your traditional data center and get that data migrated directly to the Redshift. So next is Amazon Redshift architecture. So basically, it combines of a cluster, and that we call it as a data warehouse cluster. So in this figure, you can see that this is a data warehouse cluster, and this is a presentation of Amazon Redshift. So it has some of the compute nodes, which does the data processing, and the leader node, which gives the instructions to these compute nodes, and also the leader nodes basically manages the client applications that require the data from the Redshift. So let's understand about the components of the Redshift. So first of all, this is the client applications. So basically, client application of Amazon Redshift basically interact with the leader node using the JDBC or the ODBC. The JDBC means the Java database connectivity, and ODBC means the Open Database connectivity. So JDBC Amazon Redshift service using a JDBC connector, or which can monitor the connections from the other client applications. So the leader node can actually have a check on the client applications using the JDBC connections. On the other hand, ODBC, it allows a leader node to have a direct interaction, or to have a line interaction with the Amazon Redshift. So ODBC allows a user to interact with live data of Amazon Redshift. So it has a direct connectivity or direct access of the applications, as well as the leader node can get the information from the compute nodes. So what are these compute nodes? Like it's from 1 to n. So compute nodes now, what are these compute nodes? So basically, these are basically databases which does the processing. So Amazon Redshift has a set of computing resources, which we call it as a nodes. And the nodes, when they are combined together, they are called it as a cluster. So then data warehouse cluster. So now a cluster is a set of computing resources which are called as nodes, and this gathers into a group which we call it as a data warehouse cluster. So you can have a compute node starting from 1 to n number of nodes, and that's why uh, we call that Redshift is a scalable service, because we can scale up the compute nodes whenever we require. Now the data warehouse cluster, or each cluster, has one or more databases in the form of a nodes. So now what is the leader node? So this node basically manages the interaction between the client application and the compute node. So it acts as a bridge between the client application and the compute nodes. Also, it analyzes and develop the designs in order to carry out any kind of a database operations, so that leader node basically sends out instructions to the compute nodes. Basically, it performs or execute that instruction and give that output to that leader node. So that is what leader node runs the program and assign the code to individual compute nodes. And compute nodes mainly execute the program and share the result back to the leader node for the final aggregation, and then it is delivered to the client application for analytics, or whatever the client application is created for. So compute nodes are basically categorized into slices, and each node slice is allocated with specific memory space, or you can say as storage space. So where the data is processed, these node slices works in parallel in order to finish their work. And hence, when we talk about a Redshift as a faster processing capability as compared to other data warehouses or traditional data warehouses, this is because these node slices work in a parallel operation that makes it more faster. So next is additional concepts of Amazon Redshift. So now there are two additional concepts in Amazon Redshift. So first one is column storage, and second one is compression. So first one is column storage. Column storage, as the name suggests, column storage is a kind of data storage in the form of a column, so that whenever we run a query, it becomes easier to pull out the data from the columns. So the column storage is an essential factor in optimizing query performance and resulting in quicker outputs. So this below example so how database tables store the record into disk block by row. So here you can see that if we wanted to pull out some kind of information based on the city, address, or age, we can basically create a filter, and from there we can put out the details that we require, and that is going to fetch out the details based on the column storage. So that makes data more structured and more streamlined, and it becomes very easier to run a query and get that output. So next is compression. So basically compression is it is something um, like to save the columnar storage, we can use a compression as an attribute. So compression is a column level operation which decreases the storage requirement, and hence it improves the query performance. And this is one of the syntax for the column compression. So next, this is the AWS dashboard. So first of all, here some AWS services are there, and here we have to choose a locality, like here Oregon is chosen here. So next, just in the AWS service means here we have to search for the Redshift. Next, you can see after searching Redshift, this is the Redshift dashboard, and here you can see here that clusters count is 0, as we have not made any clusters here till now. And you also can see that snapshot count is also 0. So after that, in the AWS services, you can search the VPC. So this is the VPC dashboard. So after that, in the VPC dashboard, after that you can search in this dashboard as IAM. So you can see these IAM dashboards, and you can click on these roles. You can see the IAM roles. So then you can click on the create role. After that, you can see here the AWS service. So click on that, and next click on this Redshift. So next, you can see here the Redshift customizable, means in the select your use case section, and then click on the next permissions. After that, you can see here the policy names, their descriptions are there. Then search them, their search the Redshift. Then check on these two things, Amazon DMS Redshift S3 role and Amazon Redshift full access. Then click on this next review button. After that, write some role name, like here we have given the role as my Oregon Redshift role, and click on the create role. And after that, your role will be created. So here the role my Oregon Redshift role has been created, as we have written the name as my Oregon Redshift role. So after that, You can see in the summary section the role ARN. Note down this no name. Then search means in the services search the Redshift again. Then launch the cluster. After that, here some capital letter or something is written. So don't write any capital. Must be, it will be lowercase. And here database port is by default 5439, and master username is here AWS user. Then master user password you have to put, and there is some cases like password must contain 64 printable ASCII characters, excluding any these characters. Okay, so confirm your password and then continue. Then you choose the node type. For free tier, you can choose the DC2 large. Then cluster type here is multi-node, and number of compute nodes we have set as 2, and next continue. So after that, you can see here, choose a VPC, here default VPC, some names. This is private thing. So remember this thing. And here we have publicly accessible set as yes, and public IP address as no, enhanced VPC routing is no. So after this, you can see here all these things after putting yes or no or other things. Then choose a role. Here we have written our role as my Oregon Redshift role. So here role is that. Then continue. So here you can see all the details here, and then click on the launch cluster. After that, you can see that cluster SID Oregon Redshift is being created. So our cluster is created. So after launching, this cluster is created. So then view your cluster on the cluster dashboard, and then you can see your cluster as you can see that SID Oregon Redshift cluster, and you can see the status as creating. DB health is unknown now, in maintenance that is now unknown as it is now initial phase. So after that, after some time, you can click on this V button and you can see all the details, that is cluster properties, cluster status, cluster database properties, then backup, audit, logging, and maintenance. And then you can see some red, like here DB health is unhealthy. So you continuously have to click on this refresh button, and clicking on this refresh button continuously. When all are in green, then you are ready to go. So now it is green, like it is available, cluster status is available, DB health is available. So all these things are now ready. So now you can go to the Redshift dashboard, and you can see that cluster count is 1, as you have created one cluster. So next, you can install the client tools like Agility Workbench for the Redshift. Okay, so Agility Workbench for Redshift is there. So this is the Agility Workbench for Amazon Redshift. So you can download now and then register here. Then Agility Workbench for Redshift overview, you can see like that. So there are some boxes like for saved server, user ID, databases, these things. You have to fill up these things. So in the cluster page, you can see the endpoint is there. So copy it. This is the server endpoint. So copy it and paste in this server section of your Agility Workbench. And by default, this port is 5439. Then click on OK after filling this all. Then connection information was modified. Would you like to save it? So yes. So you can see this failed to establish. So for this, you can go to the services, you can search the VPC, then you can click on the security group, and next You can see here and check on that. Their group ID, group name is there. You also can see in the below section, in the summary section. So in the, and there are some other options also, inbound rules, outbound rules, and other things are there. So after that, you can add another rule. So after another rule, means you can see there is by default custom TCP rule. So to change it, you can click on that V section. So after clicking on that, lot of options are there. So you have to click on this Redshift. So after that, you can see the type is now Redshift 5439, as this is the port number. Then it is the protocol, TCP protocol. Then port range is 5439. So click on that. You can see this page, which shows the IPv6 address or IPv6 address, IPv4 or IPv6 address. So copy that, then paste here in the source section, and then add this forward slash, then 32. This is mandatory. So then you can add the Redshift as the Redshift port and save here. So after that, you can see the saved successfully in green. Then you can check, means you can click on this OK button. So your Agility workbench is now ready. You can explore more by these options. So after that, right click on this, and these things will be visible, like refresh databases, copy database list to clipboard, so user sessions, so query history, so table size, and view these sections. So you can create your table, required tables. Okay, like here listing tables, sales tables are created here. So next, you can see some credentials. So go to that summary section in the roles. Click on the roles there. You have to click on the then attach policy. Okay. So attach policy, click on that. Next, search this S3. Okay. Then means initially you can see here there are two where you have checked initially. Those are Amazon DMS Redshift S3 roles and Amazon Redshift full access. These two you have checked. So next, after searching S3, you have to check this Amazon S3 read-only access and then attach this policy. Then you will see that My Oregon Redshift role. So click on that, and next you can see here these three policy names are there. Amazon DMS Redshift role is there, Amazon Redshift full access is there, and after attaching policy of S3, now Amazon S3 read-only access is there. Now role ARN, copy here, and then paste in this credential section. Okay, so after that, execute one by one, and then after clicking on that, you can also see the show table size. Okay, so here you can see the table size. Then you also can click on this chart. You can see the chart. So this is the chart. You can see the table size in chart, but in this table format, it is easy to visualize. So next means execute one by one query. So that's all. Thanks for watching. If you like it, then thank you.